Welcome to another episode of PropTech Talks. We're here with a guy I've known for a couple of years now, Alexander from FairFleet, the founder of a very cool, I'm just going to put it vague, as a very cool drone company. But thanks for being on PropTech Talks. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about you and FairFleet?
Sure. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's great being in London again. Weather is perfect, huh? It's not a very London thing.
No.
Actually, the past was really good. Yes, so I'm Alex, co-founder and CEO of FairFleet. What we do is we do drone solutions. Drones, actually, I think most of our clients don't really care about the drone. What they care about is the data that we collect. And I think they don't really care about the data that we collect. They care about what we find out through that data about their assets.
So, I mean, that's quite interesting. I suppose the mechanism for the result is not too important. Really, what you're doing when you're working with clients is what is the result they really want, and then drones just happen to be a fantastic tool to do that. Exactly.
So the drone is a tool, right? You probably wouldn't need drones. Our clients don't really care about the drone. What they care about is the report, the assessment, condition assessment of the building, and that we tell them, okay, what is wrong, what doesn't work, what is there to be improved on the asset.
Cool. So I think we're going to go a little bit into the industry. We're actually going to be discussing what typically is wrong, what typically doesn't work. But I think it would be good to just hear a bit about you. What's the story behind FairFleet? How did you end up working with these, large real estate portfolio owners and operators? Why drones? How did that all happen?
To be honest, right first perspectively, looking at it was a lot of coincidences coming in at the same time. So my co-founder now, Marco, we studied together and we wanted to go into the financial industry. I was studying banking and finance, and it was my goal to work at the German stock exchange, which I did actually later for only a few months because then the opportunity came in that we could start FairFleet. But during that university studies, Marco's bigger brother, he was very much into drones because he was actually studying filmmaking. And they were taking a video of windmills, like wind farms, right, for a image video. And the cost of the helicopter was so high that they thought, okay, we'll just build a drone, a helicopter, and put a camera onto it. And that's how the entire conversation started on using drones. At that time, there wasn't really good drones, right? Most of the drones were toys, essentially, where you could stick a GoPro on it. And you had to make sure that by seeing the different lights on how much battery is left. But that's how the entire idea started. And then we used drones to take photos and videos for marketing of real estate portfolio and hotels.
And is that the main use case? Is it a marketing thing? Is it potentially a data question? Is it, where does it have an array of use cases? What is it you actually see?
So typically when we started with the most obvious, which is marketing photos. At that time, drones were new. Everyone liked the new bird's eye view of buildings because normally everyone took out their phone and took a photo from bottom up. And then drones came, and it was kind of a huge demand on the market for drone photos for marketing purposes. And that's how we started. And then we realized that the first clients actually said, nice photos. Can you take more photos of that area? Because there might be a problem on the roof. And then we thought, actually, wait, we cannot just use it for marketing purposes, but also for inspection purposes. So now, I would say it's still a big part. 25% is marketing, and the rest is inspections.
Interesting. I'm curious. How do you end up working at the German stock exchange for a few months, and then the opportunity of, we should be using drones to be taking photos of real estate to help them. I mean, it's not an everyday thought. So we did our little venture that we started with
being drone pilots ourselves, I was the worst, the crappiest drone pilot on the planet. We had a job in Bali, and it was awesome. I mean, it just paid the flight and the accommodation. No money, actually, no cash flow, but it was great. We took our girlfriends and we went to Bali for a week or two and had the best time. But we had to shoot photos. And actually, the first morning, I was a bit hungover, to be honest. We went to these rice terraces. I flew the drone right into a bamboo stick, and the drone crashed and landed in the rice fields, which is underwater. So it was, drone was totaled. But unfortunately, we had a second drone with us. So I was a really shitty drone pilot. But we thought, okay, we can do this, but it's not scalable business, right? We're not going to earn money. Travel cost is crazy. We need partners across the globe that will just help and connect with clients. And then this whole idea came up that we can just use a network of drone pilots. And that's how we started. But then obviously, opportunities came in to work in corporate at German Stock Exchange. That's what I always wanted to do. And then I went there for a few months. And then Marco called me and said, listen, we met a guy from Allianz, the insurance company.
Yeah.
They want to do something with drones. And if we're good, if they like the idea, they would actually support it. We pitched. They said it's a perfect idea. We started building FairFleet with Allianz as like a corporate venture building program. And from there, we figured out Allianz is not the perfect partner. We did a management buyout in 2018, and then we're independent since 2018. That's how the whole adventure of FairFleet started.
And Allianz is, I know you've been in the insurance, I suppose it may have started in the insurance industry as well, thinking about, there must have been a big insurance implication for the data on these assets.
Yeah.
I remember even Allianz was always quite a forward-thinking, people think insurance, they don't normally think very forward-thinking businesses, but they're I think they're the biggest insurance carrier in Europe as well.
One of the biggest, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about, so I'd love to learn more about you were telling me you're even looking at events in solar, you're looking at, which that's interesting. Obviously insurance, obviously real estate. How do you actually find and the sort of the right market to really approach when thinking about things, many different shiny objects that might be in front of you? How do you actually jump on the right one to grow FairFleet?
So to be very honest, we don't jump on the right ones. Normally we jump on the wrong ones.
Okay.
And then we always figure out later what are the right ones. So it started obviously with insurance. Allianz wanted to do something to increase the speed of claims management. And they thought drones are a perfect tool. And drones are a good tool, but they're not perfect for every industry, actually. And then through that, we learned, okay, every other real estate company would be interested in inspecting their buildings as well, right? So why don't we speak to them? And then, to be honest, we just listened. We went out in the world, went to trade shows, events, conferences, spoke to clients all over the world, and we just listened to what people are interested in and what the technology could do. And then we always came up with new ideas. We failed a lot of ideas. We tried to be in agriculture and said, okay, we'll just inspect every crop field in the world and see where we can put increase yields by having better and more precise information. And then we just learned a few years later that actually the equipment that farmers are using still nowadays, they're not precise enough. So it doesn't really make a big difference. And they don't want to spend money on it. Mm-hmm. So we always learn by doing things. And by doing things, we learned a lot about the technology and the use cases. And we adapted a lot of this information, transferred that knowledge to other industries as well. And I think that's what makes FairFleet so valuable. So a lot of the measurement inspection parts we then use for the solar industry or the infrastructure industry. A lot of what we learned in mapping we use on commercial real estate now.
And so, it sounds like you guys are tackling a lot. How big is the team?
Yeah, well, our team, everything is automated, right, at FairFleet, or most of the processes.
One.
That would be amazing for our costs. No, the team is 17 people currently. but most of them is sales, operations, IT. So
nowadays, I think people are more impressed as if the team can be as small as possible. That's when a lot of entrepreneurs get excited. So it's like the more you're doing with less people. I think, previously, if you go like 20 years ago, or maybe even in the era of low interest rate Silicon Valley money, you want to have grow really quickly. We want to be as little as possible.
So in 2019, we had a team of more than 25. But we had like maybe 10% of the revenues that we have now.
Right.
So we had a lot of people there. We needed a lot of people. From a lot of people, we learned a lot. And then we figured pre-COVID, actually like a few months before, that we just have to reduce burn rates.
Yeah.
And we're a German company, so we're very different than American Silicon Valley funded ventures. Or investors wanted to see that our business model is sustainable and can make money, and we had to prove them. And the first thing you do is you try to automate, and you just use actual people where you need them in the process. So you need them whenever it comes to speaking to other people, so clients or pilots, and when it comes to expertise. That's pretty much what we reduced our team to.
Understood. Cool. So let's look into the built environment a little bit more. You mentioned problems. You mentioned the problems these guys might be having. And I guess even just to provide a bit of context, we're now in a higher interest rate environment than a lot of real estate companies are used to.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to get margins than before as a result. An investment decision seems to be more valuable in that it actually has the potential to be a bad decision, not just a good decision or a very good decision. So data seems to matter more. With all of that in mind, where do you really see FairFleet adding value to the real estate industry?
So we have a lot of problems. The ones you mentioned. We have also a lot of issues that are operationally at least annoying, right? Everyone has to speak about ESG. I think for a normal investor, they don't. It's a topic they have to care about, and it makes sense. But I think it's annoying for a lot of them. ESG always means, in the end, sustainability means more cost in the first place, an investment, and then you don't really know the ROI later. What we've learned in the entire process is data is important, but data needs to have value. Just having data is useful. And I have a perfect example. I have a client, they're one of the largest retailers in Germany. And everything in their business is based on Excel. So what they do, the entire business, €1 billion business, it's a global business, they do everything on Excel. And what is interesting, if I tell them, okay, I have more data for you, they tell me, I don't want more data. I have enough data on my Access. I'm not interested in more data points in my Access.
I want less.
Exactly. I want less. I want less information. What I need is that you tell me what is wrong and what I have to do. And we listened. And because in the beginning, I think what we tried to do is we capture data, get as much data points as possible, and provide as much information as possible. What we learned is most of our clients, what they care about is reduce information and just tell me what is the actual problem. What do I have to take care of
what's
immediately?
The most important piece of data? Yeah.
Exactly. And what we learned, and I think that's also a huge challenge, is there's not enough people that want to climb roofs or buildings anymore. Young people are not interested in going out, traveling around the UK or globally. It's also high cost, right? It's high emissions. If you have to travel to your portfolio site in South America, which is interesting, might be cool, but it doesn't really make it's not a big impact on your business if you're there or not. And or drones can capture data everywhere and then reduce that information to the most valuable and the most important aspects.
Interesting. I mean, it's actually so true. I don't know if you've ever had this situation. If you ever ask, I'll give you, maybe you'll relate to this. Someone's asked an employee, can you, it was pretty simple. Can you give me information on this sponsor, and I got 4 Wikipedia pages on the founder and the other founder and the investor, and I was thinking, how am I going to go into a call with this?
You want 3 or 4 bullets,
yeah, I just
right?
wanted and to be fair, they had a lot, all the information was there, but I just couldn't take any action out of it. And it actually means that the value that was added is less. The value that is added is actually less because it doesn't actually translate to something.
That's what everyone that is using ChatGPT nowadays, what ChatGPT actually does for them is reduce information that is available anyways. Because ChatGPT will just browse the internet, find all that information, and just put 15 bullets about PropTech Connect in London, right?
Exactly. Very good. Cool. Now, looking at the industry's, let's call it eagerness to adopt. Innovation being a word that's thrown around so much, it's kind of lost its, I don't know, innovation is always thrown around. But with an industry that I suppose is quite traditional and with a solution that is quite new and quite different, probably requires a bit of education. And a lot of sponsors tell us, our clients have their own way of operating, but we've got a new and better way of operating. How do we get it across to them? I think you're probably one of the most striking cases of something that is quite new. How do you get around that, educating the client to potentially work with them and help them?
Tricky question. Not a tricky question, but an interesting one. I think what is important is that we've learned that we don't want to change the processes the clients have. We want to go in a really small part of the process and just make that part better and faster and cheaper and safer, and that's where we end. When we started, we wanted to change the entire process. Our clients do their business, but they know best. These companies we speak to, if you speak about Allianz, if you speak about the large real estate portfolios in the world, the big investors, the owners, they know how their business is working, and they don't need a 30-year-old guy like me a few years ago coming in and tell them, "Oh, everything you you're doing it wrong." Right? You don't need that. What you need is, and we had to learn this, right? That we tell them, listen, there's in certain cases there is a high chance that our solution is better than what you're doing right now, and you should look at it. And I think it's a cultural change in the real estate industry. Everyone is used to renting a cherry picker in the wind and the rain, be attacked by seagulls, trying to check if there's any broken parts of the building, and then you write it down on your little notepad, and then you go back to the office and write a little report on it, and then you create tickets for maintenance and operations, and hope that your client will accept the extra charges for the repair works. And that's how you've been doing it in the past 30, 40 years. And you need this cultural change that you don't have to be physically on site, and the data of a drone is technically better, the process is better, you don't have to be outside, you don't have to be in the rain, you don't have to be in the wind, you don't need to be on site. But that takes some time. Some clients have understood it, some are still in progress of understanding.
And then, there definitely is, despite let's say a changed environment, we were talking about there are actually tools to make data more valuable. We're talking that, of course, with, there's more of a focus on NOI. There is potential regulatory pressure on compliance, even with the US, kind of changing its mind from one day to the next. That there are it's clearly a new environment that people are in. A lot of also from an investor perspective, the buying and holding strategy is now moving more towards retrofitting, repurposing, repositioning. And so there's all of a sudden a lot to do. We're in a very kind of new world. At the same time, there isn't an immediate everyone changes their mode of operating. There now seems to be a range. You have people, right at the front who are retrofitting everything into oblivion and, and chasing margins and You have people who are sort of in the attitude, trust me, I've been doing this for 15 years, and potentially struggling. So I guess the question is, have you seen this? Have you seen a kind of a general change? And how do you kind of position your business in this kind of changing industry?
So yes, there is this process or progress of change. A lot of our clients know that they have to change, or they have the idea that they might need to change what they're doing. Some are more, let's say, reluctant and careful, and some are more optimistic and innovative. Some also have their internal pressure that they have to be innovative because there's board tells them to be innovative, or the directors or the senior management, or their clients push them to be innovative. And we have seen one client we've tried to work with for many years. It's a facility management company in Germany, pretty well. They were very reluctant on using that. And they also said, yeah, but if we're on site, we can touch things, and we can, for us, it's just better if we're there. We can remove loose objects right away. So we don't need drones. And then all of a sudden, they got a new contract with a large company in Germany. They have a lot of assets. And they put in the contract that they have to come up with innovative ways on doing facility management. And they had zero ideas on what they do, what they could do.
Such a great line to put in the contract.
Yeah, actually, I think it is valuable also for the end client, because normally innovation costs less money somewhere in the process. Right?
That is a genius line to put in a contract.
So now they rang us a few days after they signed the contract, said, okay, listen, the first thing that came into mind is using drones for the property inspection. And if you find something, we'll then send someone out to actually repair or replace it. And I said, that's what we've been pitching for months and years, and you weren't interested. But then all of a sudden, they were interested.
That is such a cool story. Even to get a contract from a supplier and to add a line, I want you to also do something innovative.
Yeah. And they have to present it. So they have to present, okay, what have you spent? They actually have a certain amount per year on the contract value that they have to invest into innovative ways of doing that facility management they've been doing for 50 years. And they have to report it to the client and put a full report. Okay, what have we invested? What have we done? What is the outcome? How did it benefit the owner in the end?
Amazing. I'd like to just go a little bit towards the FairFleet journey a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned. I guess would you consider the official start would have been with Allianz?
Yeah, the entire business model pivoted during that phase. For us, it was more the research development project stage. We always say, okay, we really started with the way we're working now in 2018.
2018.
Okay.
What would you say is the most critical lesson you've learned in the last 7 years?
It's a stupid phrase, I would say, but fail as much as possible. Everyone will tell you this. But why is only if you try and you fail and you're open to failing, you really learn. Everyone will tell you this, but I have a lot of examples where we really tried to get things done. It didn't work. We tried doing agriculture business, counting crops, didn't work. But through that learning curve and counting crops, we just changed the way we counted crops to counting roof tiles, right? So we used the technology here and there and used our experience in every part of the different service palette for the benefit in other industries.
There's a saying which is you can learn the easy way or the hard way, and I don't know that I have ever learned the easy way.
I think I've never learned the easy way.
Even if I'm completely paid attention to other people, then I just learn an even harder way.
What would
think it's going to work.
What would be the easy way to learn?
Well, the easy way is you see a mistake somebody else has made, Or you see what's worked for somebody else, you go, fantastic, I'm going to do that here. And you think, okay, this scenario is similar enough, the variables are similar enough where there won't be some kind of negative surprise or negative implication. Sometimes it does work, but sometimes that's where you learn the hardest way, because you might overinvest in something that feels more secure. Yeah. I've really found that all of the improvement in our company so far, I don't know if you found this, all comes from mistakes. It doesn't come from, because if you're doing it well, it doesn't really need to improve that much. You don't find it as a value add on the business.
I think what is very important is that you're aware that you're doing mistakes, right? I think if you're not aware that you're doing mistakes constantly, right, then you will keep doing these mistakes and then you're not learning. Right, so you have to be very attentive on what are we doing? Are we doing it the right way? What can we improve? And then just take action from there. First, resolve the issue, right, for the client especially, if there's an issue for the client. And then think about smart ways to improve the process. And then you will learn.
How have the things you've been focusing on in the last 7 years, how have they shifted?
Again, we've done a lot of R&D projects.
And I would actually say you. How have the things you've been focusing on as the business grew?
So what changed a lot for me is I was very much on the operational sales side. I wanted to be everywhere and understand everything. I wanted to be on site with pilots. I wanted to see a drone flying around a building, even though I saw it hundreds of times. I want to be out there. I wanted to see how things are done. Why is my colleague doing it this way? Why are we invoicing that way? I always want to understand every part of the process. So I could, if in case something goes wrong, adapt immediately somewhere and maybe change it the way that it's working. Now I think what we've done is we understand the business really well. We're still out there, but not as much as we used to before. And let's say I'm listening more to colleagues. Right? Mm-hmm. I think I've learned that, and that's super important to have this experience curve.
Are you still doing sales?
Yes.
Interesting.
I am.
Do you think you're going to do it forever?
To be honest, I love the contact with clients. I really appreciate being out there with clients speaking. I like to be on projects. I can't do that much anymore, unfortunately. But we always try to be out there a bit. Marco, my co-founder, right? He's taking care about the operational side. He's doing test projects in field. He's just spent 1 week in a PV site, the biggest PV site in the UK, just to see how the technology is working on site and what the actual challenges are on site. But we can't do it every week, right? Mm-hmm. I can't do sales every day. I focus on my
PV is solar, right?
Yes, photovoltaics, right? I focus on the clients that I have. I don't want to push them to someone else. But I'm now more there to support the sales team.
So I mean, and that's the thing I'm even just thinking in our own business is, like at the beginning, myself and Terry, my co-founder, we were the majority of all the revenue that comes in, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Then as you grow, you become a small fraction of it. And then you think, well, if my time is 60% on sales, 70% on sales, however, I'm a small fraction of the business and we have all these other teammates, it's a weird balance. It's also something I like, which doesn't matter, I guess. And I'm just, making that transition is something I'm always asking CEOs who definitely do speak to their clients. You also get the certain CEO who just is basically an accountant. And they have, but for those that aren't that guy, it's interesting, that transition.
But I think you should never lose doing sales, right? Because only then if you're in real contact with clients, you will learn the most, right? Being there, speaking to them, but you can't be there for every client, right? And I have colleagues that are way better selling and supporting clients than me, way better.
Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe it's not a case of just an on or off. Maybe it's a case of gradually lowering.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay, we're a couple other questions I have. The drone industry, is that even fair? I don't know how many competitors you have, but let's say the companies that are looking at external data for buildings, data intelligence on real estate, how do you think that's going to be looking over the next few years?
So what we've seen is the drone economy, we call it, has been a very fragmented market. We have a lot of players on the market. We have a lot of drone pilots, right? Could be registered with us, fly for us, but also have their own business, offering solution services to their clients. What we've seen is that there is a huge way that these small little players, they're just gone, right? Why? Because they cannot fulfill the requirements of large real estate corporations. If you have 2 or 3 buildings in your portfolio, it's fine, and they're all in leads, and you have a local lead drone pilot, totally works. Our clients, most of them, they have multinational portfolios, international portfolios, or even just the UK, right? Travel is just such a cost. Most of these, let's say, small drone pilots companies, they cannot afford just travel around, and not at the price that we're doing it. What else we're seeing is there is a huge shift of most companies don't want to do any drone operations anymore. Most just want to do software, which makes sense because it's way better margins. But without data capturing, you can't do analytics, right? And an essential part of our business is having the operational part and supporting our clients capturing the data.
And so what does that mean for the future of FairFleet? What's next? Do you want to go more? Do you want to also support more on the software side? You mentioned that one case study of the client who has so much data, and actually you can, now if you're potentially collecting it for them, you can even help them on that next step for whatever they need.
Yeah,
that does make sense. But I don't want to put words into whatever you're doing. What is it you actually want to be doing?
We want to support even more in decision making, going more into predictive topics, more about change recognition, right? What changed in the past 3-4 years on a building is something deteriorating. What can we do on that part? We want to understand more aspects of the building. I will give you a very good example. In the solar industry, when we do an inspection of a site, we have all information. When was it built? What type of modules? What manufacturer of modules? What's the maximum capacity per module? We understand everything, and we digitize that information. We put it in, we do the thermal inspection. We see different errors and issues, and we can give clients to understand, okay, listen, you have 400 PV modules, solar modules, that have issues, but they're still in warranty. So you can just claim that directly with the manufacturer. So we have way more understanding on parts that we don't have currently. We don't have in the real estate business. We don't understand when was a roof built, when was it rebuilt, when was it maintained the last time. We want to understand more on that. I think it will be a very tricky process because most of our clients, the owners, don't really know, especially on historic buildings. And then we might understand better if certain things that we see and identify on roofs that are caused by typical issues in production of that tile, for example. That's typical things we see in the solar industry.
Interesting. Is this solar looking like is something you're newly getting into?
No.
Okay.
We have been there for many years, but it's just interesting, and that's what I was saying, right? We serve so many different industries, and some of our clients are confused by that as well, like because if some say, oh, if you're working in so many industries, you cannot be an expert in one industry. But we're learning so much in other industries. We're learning so much on service adaptation, on how analytics are used, how processes and operations are done using that information, that we can just transfer that knowledge and that experience into other industries and then really make a difference for clients.
Amazing. What would you say is the one piece of advice you would give to a real estate owner or operator? Maybe, let's say, the more traditional archetype profile, what would be your advice to that person?
Test it. Do a pilot project. Test the drones. You don't have to use FairFleet. Use any drone. Make sure that you're not just capturing photos, but that you're actually analyzing and processing the data. Because otherwise you just have photos. And then just...
You already know what your building looks like. At least you should.
Exactly. No, a lot of people think that using a drone, you're done. The drone can do everything. The drone is a stupid piece of technology. It's smart now, but technically it's a helicopter with a nice camera on it, right? If you can throw a ball with cameras on it at the exact perfect height to capture a photo in the exact perfect moment, you have the same technology, right? Similar. Drones are just a very fast tool to capture scalable data and then use that data and analyze and process it. We actually do this with a lot of clients that we always bet, okay, we'll find something you don't know about. What we've done is cool. We have this one client and they said, okay, we'll give you a building that we know that there's no problem at all. I told them, okay, sure, let's go. We scanned the building, we did the analysis, the processing, we found issues, and then before the call presenting the issues, we asked again, are you sure that there's no issues? No, we're not aware of any issues. We had parts of the facade. There was a massive hole, massive crack. Water was going into...
Really?
Yes. They weren't aware about it.
I mean, that's like worse than a regular building.
That is worse than a regular building, yeah. Where people know that there's issues with the building, but in this case, they said, oh, no issue at all. And we found a lot of issues.
Wow.
And that's fun, actually, because most owners or operators are not aware that some of the problems exist. And some of the problems could cause structural issues later, could cost a lot of money if they're not taken care of immediately, or it could be a hazard or a threat for public health and safety.
There does really clearly seem to be a general mindset shift for the industry, which is this kind of things have been okay. We don't need to make an adjustment to. We need to look at more details on how to add value to an asset, right? Yeah. Or how to add value to something we're doing. And there does, with every single even interaction you're having, or every single interaction that any solution provider is having with, these kinds of profiles, there is a general moving. I think it's, the real estate industry is like a huge ocean liner cruise ship. It's, it take a very long time to move because it's the biggest asset class in the world. But there does seem to be very clear movement. I'm even thinking when we started the PropTech Connect and now, even the way people talk about it, really interesting. I'll ask you one more question, and it's on what would be your advice to an entrepreneur? Maybe maybe a young 2018 Alex. What would be your advice?
In 2018, I didn't know where FairFleet was going. I was constantly thinking, why would anyone actually use our services? And I didn't have an answer at that time. I mean, we pitched the idea and everything, but it did not have a clear answer why our clients using it. I think the more I thought about it, the more we invested into the solution and the benefits and the actual ROI of our business. And I think that's super important. Just do it, try it. If you fail, it's fine. In Germany, there's this massive issue that you're not allowed to fail, right? I think let's say, especially the more American way is fail as many times as possible. As long as you get up again and start, you're still successful. But I would say, just try it out, figure out if it works. If it doesn't work, it's probably not you. It was just maybe the market, maybe it was not the perfect idea, but just keep working on it.
It's also okay for it to be you, because that means there's something for you to work on as well.
That's also fine. Yeah, it's fine. I think a lot of people don't. I didn't want to be a founder of a company. I just want to do a corporate finance job, technically, right? But then in the end, I figured actually I'm not as bad at it as I thought I was.
Yeah, that does make sense. That's really interesting. Alexander, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I guess I'll be seeing you next week, right?
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.